we'll see what that does, right? So Rails new. And so what's a cool project? You want to take you to Flavor Town? You go to Flavor Town? Cookies? You want to go to? Fine, Halloween. Whatever. Halloween, right? I guess it's kind of spooky. Sure. Cool. And what is it? Rails what? Am I just like straight scaffold here?
G.
Oh, G. What's G again? Oh man, remembered. Good answer. Scaffold, right? And what does this do for me? What's this model we want to build today? What's Halloween? Costumes, possibly?
What about costumes?
Huh? Just one model is fine. Costume?
Sure.
Costume. Cool. And what is it? What attributes of costume do we have here?
Price.
Sure.
Name.
Let's go name first and then price integer. Cool? Let's let it rip. Just kidding. I have to CD into that project. Let's let it rip. So what does scaffold build for me? What's everything? Okay, controller routes everything. You guys keep saying everything.
Controller routes, view pages, style sheets, everything.
Everything. JavaScript, right? Let's actually go over it. Cool? So, a little bit of this, right? Actually, do a little bit of Rails DB migrate, right? And, cool. Let's start. So we're going to migrate, and then we are going to open the folder, and then we're going to start the server. Cool? Questions? Money. Let's let that rip. Nice. Cool. So, a little bit of this. Just kidding. A little bit of that. All right. So we got the server running. And how can I get to that server? Right? I just want to go to a little bit of this. Localhost what? 3000? What should I see? Yay! You're on Rails, right? What else can we do? Like, what's the route for that? Is it Halloween or costumes? Why not Halloween? That's just the name of the project, right? Very good. Cool. What should I see? New costume? Cool. So let's make one, right? What's the name of this costume? Right? That's right. Throw it back, right? How much is this? Free. Just kidding. 9. Yeah? Free costume. Where is it going to take me? Awesome. Thank you. Right? Costume is successfully created. Right? Where does this come from? Rather, this message. Right? If I refresh, will it still be there? Cool. So smart. Yeah, I know. Mod 2, right? Cool. Let's make another one. Right? What's the costume here? Huh?
Nurse.
Pumpkin. Let's just go with pumpkin, right? How much is a pumpkin? I don't know. $10 million. That's an expensive costume. So cool, right? So I have this index page, right? Now let's take a look, right? What is this exactly? What am I being served up here in costumes? Index, right? Index dot what? Dot HTML dot ERB. So if I hit enter, what should come back? Same page? Just kidding. No, it doesn't like that. I think it's just ERB. All right. It used to be HTML.erb. Now it's just ERB. Right? So ERB is what? What do I write in this ERB file? What type of language, what code do I write in there? It is HTML with embedded Ruby. So my request is what? Is my request asking for embedded Ruby, or is my request asking for HTML? HTML, right? So let's take a look. Where would I go to look to see where my server, my Rails app, will send me back HTML in my views, in my models, or in my controllers. Views is going to tell the Rails server what to send back. Views is what? Right? Views is just the HTML ERBs, right? So the controller tells me what to send back. So let's take a look. Okay? Cool? 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 Shh! Shut up. I'll deal with you later. So, what do we have here? Looks pretty simple, right? Looks very familiar. What do we have here? What's this? Have you seen this before? Respond to do format. What does this mean? Is it? Right?
Okay, so this is just a validation because look, it says the constant gets saved and render it, else like save the errors and flashes.
This is pretty standard, like validation handling and error messages, right? But what do we see here that we normally don't see? Get to costumes, no, just kidding. Get to costumes, or get to costumes.json, right? What is that? Well, I want, right, JSON, right? So I want to see something that looks like this, right? Something that looks like this, right? So I showed you a long time ago that I can, in fact, get JSON like this, right? In an array, I get these objects. Look familiar? This is the raw. This is the parsed. Looks a little cleaner. We want our data to come back like this, right? That's how you've seen it when you've been making these nebulous fetch API calls, right? So we want to be able to make our data look like this. How can we do that? Well, let's go back to the console. We can go back to the console and take a look. What do I have here? What model? Right? The costume? Let me clear this out. Cool. And now I have models in here. I have what? First. And what should I get back? The squirrel, right? What if I wanted to see that? Have you seen to integer? Or to string? Or to JSON? I can send my object. I can convert this object to JSON. Cool? So, what can this do for me? Why would I need to convert something to JSON? Yes, very good. What's up?
So you can iterate through the hash. So you can iterate through polls and stuff like that.
I can iterate through the hash, right? That's certainly one of them. But what's happening here? What language is this? Right? If I were to just do the first, and I were to check the class or something, what would it come back as? Like a costume class. A costume object written in what language?
Ruby.
Ruby. So when I'm making my fetch request from the browser, what language is that? JavaScript, right? Is there some sort of language agnostic object that I can have that will bridge the gap between JavaScript and Ruby?
JSON.
So good, so good, right? So, yeah, nailed it. So the purpose for JSON is so that now I could take this Ruby object and make it into something that is now JavaScript readable. Yeah? So let's take a look. Back at the code. Back to the code after I bang out of this, start my server back up. Cool. It looks like here, it says respond to with some sort of format block. This format says if the format is .html, I'm going to redirect to the costume, and I'm going to send some sort of notice, right? Otherwise, if the format is .json, I'm going to render this show page. I'm going to send the status, and I'm going to send some sort of object with this location. So if I go back and I just remembered, if this is .erb, this is the HTML, how can I ask it for its JSON? What do you think we'll return?
Like a JSON file with equals to those.
Like a what?
Like a JSON array of objects.
Like a JSON array of objects? Who agrees? Someone did the labs over the weekend. And there it is. Right? This is what we're looking for. It's got everything. It's got our ID. It's got our name. It's got this $1 million pumpkin costume. And it also has, have you seen this before? We always put t.timestamps in our migration. But we never really utilize it. But it's coming through. And also some sort of URL. Right? Can I do, right? What is this real quick? What route am I hitting here? What RESTful route is just /costumes? Index, right? So what route is this? So what am I going to see? Squirrel? Squirrel. Cool. I wonder if I can possibly, in my show, do a .json. Whoa. Kind of wild, right? Yeah.
So why don't we need the format check? Your show.
Why do I not need the format check? It's default, right? So it'll default respond to do format, and I'll show you in a little bit. All right, when we build out the API from scratch. But I just wanted to show you this kind of what it looks like, right? Yeah.
You scroll it up. You go to set costume.
Go to what?
Probably at the bottom, right?
Go to where?
Before action set costume, you can see set costume.
Sure. This is just,
Same as usual.
yeah, like what we've been building. Right? Cool. Never trust from parameters from the scary internet. Right? What do we call this again? Strong parameters. Awesome. Looks like you guys never missed a beat. So, cool. You want to build this from scratch and see what's going on over here? Cool. Any questions on looking at the .json or the HTML from Rails? Right? How I can access it through the URL. Pretty simple. So, let me ask you a question. All right? Let's get out of here. A little bit of this. Let's make a new project. All right? Do I want it to be in Halloween? Nah. Let's make a new one. Rails new. All right, what project do you want to build now? This is for our custom backend API. Nacho Factory? Hot Dog Factory, you want to go back to Flavortown?
Nachos.
Sure, Nacho Factory. All right? Do I want the HTML in here? Remember I've said a long time ago, Rails is a monster? Probably haven't heard that in a long time. Rails is a monster. It comes with so much extra stuff, something called Action View. Does anyone know what Action View does? It's a little Form 4 stuff, right? It also renders that template for me in HTML. If I have a completely separate front end written in JavaScript, do I need or want all of this built-in front end for my Rails? No, I just want it to be my backend, right? I just want some sort of controller to send back data. So, do I just type in --backend only? All right, what is this? What am I trying to build? An API. So just --API. We'll build a backend only version, a little bit leaner version of Rails. So, let's let that rip. Cool. Let's see what happens here. Pretty similar things, right? It builds all these things for me, right? The README, the rake, right? My assets, models, views, interesting, right? I thought I said I didn't want the views. And then my config, environment, all the other stuff. Then it runs bundle install. But look what also, right here, it removes a lot of things for me. So this is taking out all of that extra action view library, all the extra bulk from my Rails. So now my Rails is as lean as it can be, and it's only building the back end for me, because I'm going to be building a separate front end. I don't need the Rails built-in front end, right? Cool. So, pretty standard, little bundle install action. And now, let's take a look. Let's CD into it. What was it? Nacho Factory? Nice. All right. So what do we need here? What do we need in our Nacho Factory? We need some sort of model, right? We need some sort of data. Sweet. Rails G model. And what is it? What are we building? Just Nacho, right? With a name and a price. Maybe a tasty Boolean. Oh, thank you. Oops. Cool. Yeah? Questions on this? Nice. Cool. So what else do we need? Do we need a controller?
Yes.
Why yes, why no? Why no? Well, why yes?
Because we're still going to need the interface in between the web pages and the backend that talks to the database. So we're going to need a controller.
Right. So what does the model do again? Little Rails 101. Logic for what? Right. Exactly. The model touches the database, right? And brings me back the data that I want. And so what does the controller do? Relays what information from where?
Relays the logic of the model to the database.
To the database. To the page?
Create
So, again, the controller is the go-between, right? That's very close. It's pretty good. Is the go-between. It's going to talk to the model, which touches the database, that gets the information, and then it's going to serve it back to the client, right? In the format that we want. Are we going to send it back in HTML now? No, we're going to send it back in what? Okay, so let's work on that. But first, we need to build the controller. So, Rails G, controller. And what is this going to be? With an S or no S? Are you sure? I'm going to go with yes, all right? 50-50 shot. Controllers are plural, right? Cool. It's the nacho man. So let's take a look at the code real quick, right? To see the difference between when we build our regular Rails and Rails just with the API. So here, I'm just going to go here. Boop, boop, boop. Controller. Let's check out this nacho controller. Pretty normal. What about this application controller? What does it normally inherit from? What base? It's definitely not API. That's the only key thing I want you to take away, right? We can always reference it later. Let's take a look. Base, right? Remember a Sinatra base, active record base. So naturally, action controller base. You did. I was just trying to hear a bunch of wrong answers to make me feel better. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's base, right? That's where it's coming from. So now it's coming from API. So what do you think possibly might be the differences? Very good. Well, go ahead.
So this is just going to help interface between the sort of the backend data and JavaScript by like turning it into JSON. So it's going to have more features to build your data into JSON.
Turn more data into JSON?
Yeah, it's more like help us turn data into JSON.
Okay. Well, let me tell you this. In terms of the action controller for the API, I said that we no longer needed action view, and we no longer needed the HTML and all that rendering for the front end. So action controller API must be some sort of leaner version of base that does not respond to HTML. It responds to the .json. right? By default. Because you remember when I was doing this in this costume controller, what is this by default? It's probably going to respond to this HTML by default. I never had to do anything. I just did render show, right? I'm sorry, render index. I never did anything like, you know, format, I'm sorry, respond to, do, and I never told it a format to hit. Because if I told it to just render the index, it's going to render what? Index.html.erb, right? It's going to look right into my views, right into my costumes, and look at all of these by default. So, with the API, what do you think that render is going to default to? JSON, right? Sweet. So, what should we do next for our Rails? Now that I have this model and this controller, I need to what? What about the database? I need to migrate the database or something, right? So how do I do that? Does what now? What does db migrate do?
Creates tables in the SQL database.
Right? This is like how I'm mapping my model to my database. So what file does it make for me? Nice. Schema, right? So let's take a look. Bloop. Bloop. Oh yeah. That's what I like. Nice. All right? So how can we test this? Yeah, let's just make one, right? Sweet. Nacho.create. And what is it? Name. Oh, my favorite. Trash can nachos. Literally nachos made in a dumpster. Oh, very good. Very good. What are the other attributes?
Price.
Price? How much is this thing?
0.
Okay, great. I thought they would be more expensive than that. And what's the last one?
Tasty.
Cool.
False.
Tasty bad. Very good. Right? Will this work? Sure. Cool. Now that I have one, I can do nacho.all and just check, right? Questions, comments, concerns? All right, just regular Rails so far. Nothing wild. So what are we doing now? What do we want to do in our controller if we want to send back some data? What's the first route we always build? Right? Index, right? A little bit of this. Cool. And what is the RESTful route for this? Slash nachos. Okay. And is this going to hit us with what we need?
Although there's no view.
Interesting, right? So what do we do? All right. So what are we rendering here? What? Nachos.json? All right, where's nachos coming from? Nachos.all, right? Remember this? At nachos, because I need the instance variable to pass it into my view. Remember that? And it's going to be nacho.all. Cool? So what am I rendering? Okay, what kind of JSON? How do I write this? I actually forgot. Render is what? What kind? It's like a function or what? Just like a keyword? Render is a method, right? So render must take arguments. Put my bananas in here. Because we've only ever seen it like this, right? Render index. Do you remember when I also passed in params? And it took a key value, and it was like nacho ID is equal to like 1. I can pass in other arguments when I was doing the sessions lecture. Remember that? No? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. Lie to me. So, render is a method, and it takes arguments. The first thing is what I want to send over. So, I want to send over JSON. And what do I want to send? I want to send at nachos. Cool? What else do I want to send? How about I tell the server what the status was? Status 200 or okay? All right? Status okay is just defaults to 200. Cool? So what does this line mean? Renders the nachos data.json. Any questions? All right. What does this look like in terms of like this symbol? So like this JSON is what in relationship to nachos? And key to value. So this is a object. Cool. So what do I need now to test this? Can I just go to localhost 3000 / nachos and see my JSON?
No, because we need to create a JavaScript file somewhere, bro.
Interesting. Okay.
We need to create some JavaScript.
We need to make some JavaScript, bro. We will get to that. We'll get to that, bro. But first, let's figure out what's going on. Let's try testing, right? So I'll spin on my server. And then I'm going to try to go to Rails at, I'm sorry. Local, womp womp, localhost 3000 / nachos. And what should I get? I should get a route error. Absolutely. No route matches, get nachos. Cool. Let's fix that. All right, remember this file? Routes? Cool, let's wipe that real quick. And what do I need? All right, I can either do get or resources. Fine. Resources, right? Nachos. Oh, wow. Very good, thank you, thank you. You don't say much, only to correct me. Got it, cool. Only what? Yeah, I've fallen off. Actually, we don't need this, because we don't need the array, because I'm only showing one. Yeah. Cool? So, let's check. Oh man, I have to start the server back up because I changed the routing.
Yeah, the
Not in Rails 5, right? Look at that. Give me that get to / nachos. There it is. Yay. Cool, cool. I want to introduce a new concept to you. Yeah, what's up?
And so just giving the status as okay, like allow that to render on the page. That's kind of like a default thing that you guys throw in.
Let's find out. So you're saying that if I took away status okay, what would happen? It's good to me. But I want to send the status why. Well, let me ask you this, right? You ever have a promise come back busted?
Yeah.
Yeah? What if it told you nothing about it? Like, hey, promise is bad. Like, okay, what happened? Is it server side, client side, syntax error? I said it was bad. That wouldn't be helpful at all, right? In the same way that we want to see, right, with GitHub, like, hey, these are some error messages. This is what's going on. I want to send a particular status back about why something did or did not happen. So it's important that now that we're building the API, we control what we send to the front end, and it's important to note that we send the status.
But every time you send the status through, it won't be okay.
Will it though?
I mean, they're just proposed it would be like a 201 for created, but at least for like rendering data, it seems like it would be like status okay.
But what about a redirect?
I'm not sure what that one is, but yeah, it's 301.
Yeah. But do I want to tell my user that? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just good practice to get into the habit of like sending back the status of what happened so that the user knows what's going on, right? Especially from a development point of view, when you're controlling the front and the back end, right? Wouldn't it be nice to send yourself these lovely messages? All right, so now I want to talk to you about something called version control when it comes to your APIs. Let's see how GitHub, one of the more popular Rails APIs, does it. Ready? Okay, GitHub API. Cool. Looks like they have something called version 3, right? V3, REST API V3. What would V3 symbolize? What would V3 mean? What? Third major version, right? So what happened to version 1 and 2? Is it still up, actually? Nope. It's gone. Gone. Right? When you are making your backend, would it make sense to have version 1 up while you're working on version 2? Yeah, you don't want to take the whole thing down when you're starting to build out a new version, right? But what if version 2 is done and it goes up? What do you want to do with version 1? You probably want it going for a little bit because people are still making calls to your API, right? Because if you just shut it down and you don't give time for people to adjust, what's going to happen? Yeah, someone's going to be like, yo, my app just broke. Why the face? You know? What's going on here? So you want to be able to build out multiple versions of your API concurrently in order to deprecate the old one and tell people, hey, now I'm on version 2. Give them a little bit of time to adjust to that version 2 data. Right? And so you want 1 and 2 to come out at the same time. And so you want both up. So let me show you how to do that. All right? Show you a little cool Rails trick. So we have Rails G controller, nachos. I can also Rails D controller, nachos. What do you think D would do? I deleted it, right? Cool. Look, go on. So I want to remake this nachos controller, but how would I make it with version control? Well, let's take a look at GitHub, right? They have some sort of V3 here, right? And what are we building right now, just so we're 100% clear? It's 3 sweet letters. Okay? Not MV. We're building API, right? So we're building a Rails API, and we're building version 1. And it's going to be nachos. Cool? Cool. Questions on why I did this? Why I created this namespace that said, hey, I'm building an API, this is the first version, and this is the name of that controller.
Just so that you can also have V2 and V3 there?
Absolutely. So I can have eventually V2 and V3. That way I don't have to take down version 1. Rich, you got something?
No?
All right, cool. So let's run it. Cool. So now that I have this, right, let's take a look. I have in my folder, this doesn't exist anymore, but I'm going to rip this code like a champ. In my API, I have version 1, and I have my nachos controller, right? Look at this namespacing. API v1 nachos controller, right? Do you remember what we called this over here? I said it a few times. Namespacing, right? So this code should, in theory, work. But is the route now /nachos? It should be what? /API /version 1 /nachos. So if this is what the route should be, where would I go change that? Do you hear my voice crack? It's embarrassing. Cool. So for here, how would I add a namespace? How would I add a namespace? I don't know. Let's Google it, right? I tell you to Google things all the time. This is exactly what I would Google. Rails, routes, namespace. Let's see what comes up. Wow. 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 Let's check it out. Namespace colon, probably this name, do, and then resources. Cool, I could do that. Namespace colon, right? What would this be? Would it be nachos, or would it be what I want my route to be? And then, so I would do API, do, and then do I have one more nested layer? V1, do, and then I don't want to forget these because it's going to break my code, right? Ugh, trash. Cool. So let's take a look at what those routes look like, right? So, a little bit of this, break routes. Boom. What do I get here? Oh, golly. Can you still see this? Is this still pretty cool? So I get something called API v1 nachos as my helper. The route I need to hit, the path is now /API /v1 /nachos, right? If this is the route I need to hit, how do I need to adjust when I'm trying to hit the data, oops, when I'm trying to hit the data here, my local host? Is it still going to be /costumes/1? Oops, just kidding. This is not the one. Bloop. /nachos. Is this what I want to hit? What do I want to hit? Oh, just kidding. That was a little bit too preemptive. Right? API v1 nachos. Because that's what I put in my route, and that's what I put in my controller. So, there it is. Cool. In case you want to hear it. Right? It's real. It's still there. Magic, right? So if I wanted to update this at some point, I probably want to change this to what? V2 maybe at some point? Rails is not this automatic. It's gonna break, right? So just chill out with that. Cool. Nice. So this data, yeah.
If you use second version, is there a way to copy all of the stuff into V2?
You mean like an auto port?
Yeah, so you don't have to be better.
I don't know if there's an auto magic way. To be perfectly honest, I would make a new controller. It would just be V2. I'd copy this, all of it, and then just make the adjustments that I want to make. I don't actually know if there's an automatic way. I don't think so, but there could be. Like if I were to do Rails G controller, API V2 nachos controller, well, nachos, will it just automatically pull in? I don't think so. I think you're just going to rip it. Because it's assuming you're changing the way the data is going to be served back, so it doesn't really know what to pull in. All right. So, good question. All right. Now we want to see it. All right. Now we can get the data to come back. Let's see it in the browser. Let's write some JavaScript. So, here we can easily go to inspect. All right. And where can I write my JavaScript? So smart. Cool. And how do I write this request to get something? Cool. And what is this fetch request? Shh. I may or may not have built something stupid on the back end, right? Localhost 3000 / what are my routes again? API v1. Very good. Thank you, autofill. I'm clearing the cookies. You guys are clowns. Clearing the cookies. Right? What is my route again? Nachos. Right? And then what do I see here? What should I get when I finish this request? I should get a promise, right? Ruh-roh. What's this? Promise pending. Rejected. Type error. Failed to fetch. What a great status. Right? Failed to load because of something called no access control allow origin header. What do you think that could be? I don't know. You know what? In the almighty wisdom of things, if I don't know something, I ask my best friend. Oh, look, there he is. Hello. No access control allow origin. Let's see what comes up. Okay, this is jQuery. Trash. So, what is this? What is this developer Mozilla.org? The documentation, right? The MDN, right? Can't go wrong with the docs. So, a little bit of this, a little bit of this. Looks like I can just allow some origins in here. What is star again? Just universally in programming? It means everything, right? Lottie-dottie, body. It means everything, right? The splat operator, right? Johnny, you know splat operator.
Yeah, I know, splat scaffold.
You're the man, Johnny. You're the man. So I need something called allow control, access control allow origin star, which must mean that I need to, what? Allow everyone to make these requests. Why would it block the request from here if I were to run this fetch? Origin of developer.mozilla.org is therefore not allowed. I seem to be making some sort of fetch request to localhost 3000 from the developer.mozilla.org. Where is this coming from? It's coming from this current origin that I'm at right now, this domain that I'm on right now. So, can I make a request from localhost 3000 to localhost 3000?
Yes.
Okay, let's check it. How would I do that? Right, cool. And then I do a little bit of this, right? I make my fetch from localhost, and there's no errors. So my promise is resolved. I have some sort of response. Cool. So how can I get that response? Then what? Then response, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of what? To JSON. Is this a function, or I need to invoke it? Oh, it just .json. I forgot. All right, I haven't written JavaScript a long time. Sorry. Cool. And now I want to. Then I have some sort of what? Something. Something comes back, right? I don't know what that is. So I can just console it. Attaboy. Cool. What do you think comes back? Is this what I want? Is this data you're familiar seeing? Right? So now these fetch requests are not so nebulous because I did what? I hit this route. The RESTful route for index sends me back at nachos because I told it to. RESTful route for index. I made the fetch request to this index. I hit this controller on the back end. Gets all the nachos from the model. Now it returns JSON, all the nachos, status OK. Where can I see the status OK? Actually, I'll tell you. The status OK is in here. In the first response. So let's take a look at it. Boop, boop, boop. I said, what the? Boop. Cool. Let's take a look. All right, I can do this. I can also console log the response.json instead of this, right? Promise is pending. It's resolved, and it returns an array. Cool. That's the actual response. Then you want to do something with this promise value. That's why you need the two thens, remember? So you get the promise response, you parse it into JSON, and then you need to do something with that data, right? So two thens, cool? So what else do we have here? What other RESTful methods do we have? Show me the money. And what is this again? At nacho equal nacho.find with the params of ID, right? And we want to just render JSON. And we want to render the nacho. And we want a status of OK. Cool. Let's see what happens. /1. Just kidding. What do I need again? Oh, embarrassing. 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 All right. A little bit of this, a little bit of this. Oh, just kidding. A little of that. I also want show. Cool. Boom, there it is. Cool. We probably need to make some more. Probably need to make some more nachos, right? Because the difference between show and index is what? Nothing right now. What? Oh, brackets, yeah. In terms of actual data, what's the difference between this and the index? One's in the array, right? Because I'm going to be returning multiple objects. So you want to see this? You want to see this? Let's make a new nacho. But do I want to do it like in the terminal? No, I want my user to be able to make this nacho somehow, right? I want some button that's going to run some JavaScript that's going to make this. So how do I new? Is it new? Is it create? Well, let's do this. Let's put a pin in this real quick, right? And let's be a little sneaky and let's cheat a little bit, right? Because in my routes, I can always find all my RESTful routes, right? I just get them all like a champ. So let's take a look. I can always go localhost 3000 / Rails info routes, and I will see all my routes. All right, all 7 of my RESTful routes. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, put patches like the same, right? So kind of 5 right now, right? Why am I missing 2? But which ones am I missing?
You're missing new and edit.
Does anyone see that? I'm missing new and edit. Why would I be missing new and edit? What goes on new and what goes on edit? HTML, it's the form 4, the blasted form 4. Remember I was telling you like, hey, form 4 is great? Then you're gonna learn React. You're gonna learn JavaScript, all right? So this is essentially, the fetch request is going to be giving me my params. The fetch request is gonna send that post. The fetch request is gonna give me what I need, the inputs to make this new nacho. So do I need the form to get the user input? No, right? So again, this dash API is pretty smart. So my resources in my API is only going to give me the 5, right? So do I need to make the new here? No. What do I need to make? Yeah, create, right? So let's pause real quick. Let's pause the by bug in the create if we can hit it. What's up, Mike?
Can you just run through that thought one more time? So you don't use the form for why necessarily?
That's a really good question, right? The form 4 is on what pages?
It's on the new.
And the get, and the edit, right?
Yeah.
So when I submit that form,
Yeah.
right, what gets transferred to my Rails backend?
Well, I mean, you're doing a post to that, and you're submitting that data.
Correct. I'm submitting that data with the form, and what comes on the Rails server end?
I mean, the data update on the Rails server.
Yep, params come back. Very good, right? So params come back, right? That's through the form 4. When you build your vanilla JavaScript front end, right, you can submit a form, right? Remember, you just like make a form tag in vanilla JavaScript, and then that form submits. But where does it submit to? It submits to a particular route that you specify, right? And what does it do exactly? What does it send?
It's sending the data.
It's sending the data through what type of function? Oops.
Oh, through the fetch.
Yeah, through the fetch, right? So in theory, I can write a fetch request to test whether or not I hit this create.
Okay.
So I have a regular HTML vanilla JavaScript front end that's submitting form and params, not a Rails front end form 4 that's submitting input for params.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why I don't really need the form for. Cool? I can just do a fetch request through my vanilla JavaScript to send data to my create, right? And what route is this again?
Route create /
ABI slash v1 slash nachos. What's the difference between index and create again?
post.
This must be a post, and this is the get. Right? So I must send some sort of fetch request with a post method to this route. Right? So let's do it. Do I want it from localhost or somewhere else? Localhost? Let's make it work with some rando route, right? Let's do that. I want to get rid of this like no access origin. So let me go do that. How would I do that? Right? I need some sort of CORS enablement, right? With that star we talked about earlier. So let's find out. Right? Where would I go for CORS? Where would I go for CORS? Where would I go? There's a file in Rails, which is a monster, by the way, in config, in initializers, called CORS. So let's find that manually. Right? Boop, boop, boop. Where is it again? Config. Right? Sorry. Config. In initializers, a file called CORS. Cool. Let's read this. Be sure to restart your server when you modify this file. Cool. Avoid CORS issues when the API is called from a front-end app. The reason I want this is because the get is important to kind of like be able to get any information from anywhere, right? But do I want to be able to like send post requests from anywhere? It becomes a little sketch, right? If I'm just sending post requests to my server from like Google, Yahoo, Lycos, Ask Jeeves, all the cool sites, right? Do I want those random sites to be able to hit my server, right? Gets are a little bit safer because I'm just sending back data. There's no real like, interaction in my database. So that's why I wanted to like jump into this CORS right now. So I can always handle cross-origin resource sharing CORS. Read more here. Cool. Let's read more. All right, I'm just trying to show you the steps to be a developer, right? Documentation's great. Looks like some sort of rack CORS. It provides cross-origin resource sharing. Okay, interesting. And I can configure it somehow. Interesting. So, looks like I need some sort of gem. So let's take a look at this again one more time. Rails application.config middleware insert before 0, right? This is like in the documentation. I'm going to allow what kind of origins? Right? What kind of origins do I want? I already allow it from the same domain, so I don't need to allow localhost. But for testing purposes, let's allow everything. MySpace? Slow down. Right? Let's just allow everything for now, right? Earlier, when I was on the MDN documents, and I got this is the origin I'm coming from. So if I only want it coming from Mozilla, then I would allow just this URL, right? But for right now, for testing purposes, I'm going to allow everything. Cool? So I allowed everything through the star, right? What resource do I want to allow? Headers, just any of them, and all of the methods, right? Get, put, patch, post, delete, options, head. Right? So, cool. I saved this, and it says, be sure to restart your server when you modify this file. Cool. So what should I do? Restart the server. Could be happening here. Should I panic immediately?
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Please do that. Continue to panic immediately. Let's read this error. Block in load missing constant, uninitialized constant, rack CORS. Name error. Where is this coming from? Right here. Rack CORS do. All right? What do we know about this and name spacing? It must be some sort of what? Some module, some class, right? And what did I say about gems? I just import somebody else's modules in class. So let's take a look at my gem file. I'm looking for something called rack cores. Where would I find that? Where would I find this rack cores? Oh, there it is. Oh, thanks. Oh, Charlie, appreciate that. I've never seen it. It's very hard to find. So I just added this to my gem file. So should I Rails S immediately? There we go. Little bundle action. You know what I'm saying? So smart. Now I can try Rails S. Oh, look, no errors. So cool. So I can probably, right, just for funsies, submit this request one more time. Oh. Okay, not this one. All right, this is just getting out of control. It's getting out of control. All right, nachos. Right? Yeah. Shh. Nachos, right? Will I get this error? Probably not. Because now I'm allowing any origin to make these cross-origin requests. Does cross-origins request make sense to you? Because I'm coming from a different domain, and I'm crossing to a different origin, and I'm making a fetch request. Cross-origin request, right? So when I say cores, it's not something like, what? Am I saying like a lot?
No.
Oh.
Like,
Oh, curs. That's curs. When the mountains turn blue, you know it's good. So, ridiculous. All right. So I can send it from anywhere. Now let's continue on and make this create, right? So this is my initial request. Fetch is what in JavaScript? A get? Sure. But if I were to describe it, right, like Ruby has methods, JavaScript has... Sweet. So what does this look like to you? An argument, right? So the first argument is the URL. Where does the second argument go? Comma right here, second, let me write in JavaScript, argument, right? That's where it would go, right? Do not write it out here. This is not where args go. Okay? Cool? Just a little refresher. So, what is the second argument? Object, method, what? Method, right? Of post, just like this? Does it have to be in curly braces? Yeah?
if you're giving additional parts of the argument, then yes.
Absolutely. So, let's do that. So, when I open, I close. All right? This will mess you up in JavaScript. When I open, I close. So do not mess up the curly the braces, the curly boys. All right? I open, I close, and then where do I go now? Right here? Okay, comma. So in my second argument, in this object, I can pass in multiple key value pairs. All right, so now, all right, what do I want to put in? Headers, all right? And is that an object itself?
Yes.
No. It's the key passing to what value? Another object. So when I open, I close, right? Cool. And what do I want in headers? Oh, wow. Okay, great. Okay, great. All right. Except, I don't think this works without the capital A. So if you run into like weird errors, just make sure your capitalizations are correct. All right? And what does it take? Okay, cool. Are there any more arguments?
Yes.
So I drop the comma. When I open, I close. Very good. Embarrassing. Embarrassing. Content, right? Capital T for type. Also. Cool. Bloop. Cool. Right. So what now? How do I send some sort of data? In the body, right here in third argument? No. In what? In here?
After the object.
Here? Why comma here?
Because this is an
Yes. The additional part of the second argument. So, what would it be?
Another option.
Oh man, look at that.
And then Jason.
Okay, JSON.stringify. Why do I JSON.stringify here?
You're not writing raw JSON.
I'm not writing raw JSON, right? So, what is this? It's a function. So, should I invoke it or should I just leave it alone like a sort of callback? Invoke it, right? And then what does it take? An object. So when I open, I close, right? So boom, 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 right? Cool. And what goes in here? The nacho object, right? This is the data that actually gets passed through. So what do I have? I have a name, right? Namine. Okay. What are we doing? Flavor Town nachos. Boy. What else do we have? Price. And what is this? Should I send in a string or should I just send in a number? Integer's fine? Okay.
JSON will handle.
JSON will handle it, right? So let's do 8675309. All right. What else we got? We got some sort of tasty boolean, and you know those are good. You know they're good. Hundo P, right? So, oh snap! Oh god no! Oh, the console is a punk. All right. We're just gonna use this one, right? I'm just gonna change this to nachos. Man, you guys are out of control. Cool. And this was what? Price, and this is going to be. Yeah, I'm going hard on the joke, right? Cool. And it's not a hot dog. All right, actually, you know what? I haven't gotten here yet. Shh. Cool. Cool. Shh. True. Great. Not messing that up. Cool. Where?
The hot dog curly boy.
Oh yeah, cool. Thanks. So when I close, I open, right? Backwards too. Great. Thank you. What should I see here in the response?
Oh, the object you created.
Right? Remember, I'm doing this post. Yeah. To what route is this again? A post to what? All nachos, which is going to hit what method in my controller based on REST? What controller action am I going to hit based on REST? I'm going to hit the create. So if I do it, promise pending. Interesting. I'm waiting. What is it waiting on? My create. See how REST is like tying together? When I hit this route, this RESTful route, with the correct HTTP verb and the resource, I'm going to hit my controller action. So what do I need in here? Well, let's check the first thing. What are my params? Looks like I have some sort of name, price, tasty. I also have this nacho here. So I can do params.require my nacho. And I can get what I need. Will this create my nacho? Will this create my nacho? Oh, lucky guess. What do I need to fix? What do I need to fix? What do I need to fix? Cool. And what do I want to permit? Name, price, and cool. Why do I need to do this? It's got to accept those attributes, right? I'm whitelisting here in my, what kind of params? Weak? Gains params, strong params, right? So I should see. Yeah? So then now I can do hot dog, I'm sorry, I'm out of control. Dot create with my strong params. Yeah? Yeah? Just regular Rails. Good to go. Nacho new. New nacho. Perfect. So let me go adjust my code now in the controller. And that is going to be what? Nacho.create with a nacho params. So at nacho equals to. So let's make that nacho params, right? A little private action. Little def nacho params, right? Little strong params here. Because remember, the internet is scary. Let's whitelist the appropriate attributes. Cool? Strong params. You remember this? Hurt my feelings. Strong params. Yeah.
But would it not even, I mean, it wouldn't even create, you know, an instance of that object if the attributes didn't match, you know, what it's looking for, right?
So-
And I know that's a little like,
Nebulous?
I mean, I guess I don't really understand, like, the internet is scary, like, let's only whitelist the appropriate attributes, but like by creating that class in the first place, which only accepts certain attributes when you create it, you know, have you already whitelisted?
This is a strong params question from mod 2, so I'm going to be very fast in answering it, and then I'm getting right back to it, okay? So let's watch this. Ready? I can do, right? Now should I create with my strong params if I don't put in tasty,
Yeah.
all right? And just the name, what will happen?
So we already created.
I have no validations. It makes it, but what is price and tasty?
Right.
It blocks it.
Yeah, okay.
So strong params allows me to tell it only what attributes I want from the particular hash, yeah? Cool, great. So I'm gonna exot out of this, all right? And what do I want to do now with this nacho params?
You want to like, render in JSON, send it back.
Hmm?
Well, I mean, the fetch request is supposed to send a response, right?
Yep, the fetch request sends that response, so I'm good. I'm making this correctly, right? Cool. What do I do now? In terms of this create, what do I want to do?
Redirect.
Redirect? If I redirect, right, where do I go? Do I have a view page in my Rails to redirect to? So what do I do? Show what? Just created the nacho. So I can render the JSON, the nacho that I just made. And what status do I do? Is it just status okay or status created? Cool. Anything else? This was me showing you that renders a method that takes an object and that you don't actually have to syntactically sugarize it. I mean, you can write it without it for some syntactic sugar. Good question. Cool. So I'm just going to send back the nacho, right? So send back the new nacho. Cool. Right? So what do I see here? Okay, just kidding. What is a 500 server error again? 500 is like a server-side error, right? So it's probably because I did something in the buy bug, because I'm controlling the server. So what's going on here? Oh, whatever. I made it. Cool. Let's clear this, and let's run it one more again. All right? But without the buy bug. What should I see come back in the response? The new nacho, right? So, is that going to give me the new nacho right now? Is this one.den going to give me back the new nacho? So what do I need? What the? Ugh, it's gross. Cool. I open, I close, and what do I do with this? New nacho is going to be, let's just console log the new nacho. Because remember, what am I expecting to come back here? A new nacho, right? In my post, 2 nachos. So, oh wow, embarrassing. Cool. So what is this? Let's make custom nacho 1, and that's just going to be $0. Tasty, false, right? Promise pending. Cool. What's happening here? Started the post. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, bam. Now it resolved. Did you see that? That was actually one of the best timings ever. Sometimes Rails takes a little bit. I was really hoping to catch it. Promise pending, right? The asynchronous nature of promises. That's why promises kind of are a little tricky, right? You send the request, and sometimes it takes a little bit for it to come back. So sometimes you can't immediately act upon it, right? You ever run into those weird errors? Race conditions? We'll get to it later. Cool. So what do I get back? I got back my new nacho. Now, in this promise that resolved, I can do something with this, like what? Append it to my DOM. You know how to do that already with JavaScript, right? You can just create a new element, new div, drop the details in it from this fetch request. Remember? And so that's how it's coming. So now you're full stack. You have control of exactly what's going on in the front end and exactly what's going on in the back end. Hitting the route for the back end, right? Through this fetch request. What route do I want to use? What method do I want to use? Right? I can check the routes. I can hit the correct controller to send back the information that I specify. So this is the front end and this is the back end being separate. Do you see it now? So what else is there, right? Do I want all of this data? I probably want the ID. Do I want the created at and the updated at? That's a little weird, right? That's weird. What if there's sensitive data in here, like a social security number or something? Do I want that sent back after it's created? No, right? So how can I customize and shape my JSON object when I come back? There is a way. If I don't know what it is, right, I want to customize the shape of JSON Rails. Right? Let's see what comes back here. Add custom attribute. What's this? What's this? Rails API, active model serializers. Let's take a look. Wasn't my first one, but I'll get to it eventually. Cool. Great. Issues. Cool. Let's take a look at the code. What does this do? I guess you'll just have to know. The serializer will change the shape in which I send that data. That's what it really does. So let's take a look. Let's get into this documentation, because that's what good developers do. All right? First thing is, I have to add this line to my gem file. Too easy. Cool. Gem file. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Cool. What should I do now? Bundle. Right? Cool. What's the next thing it says to do? Getting started for the nuts and bolts. Let's get started. Easiest way to create a new serializer is to generate that resource, which will generate the serializer at the same time. However, you can also generate a serializer for an existing model. Do we have a model that already exists? So I should use this one, yeah? Cool, so let's do it. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Is it post or is it nacho? All right, cool. What do you think is gonna happen? It'll work either way, even plural. Serializer, smart. Cool. So it makes some sort of, in my apps folder, serializers, nacho serializer. Let's take a look. Serializers, nacho serializer, and it does this. Inherits from active model serializer, which is like a built-in functionality for Rails, and it says attributes ID. Without touching anything, let's take a look at what it did. Let's go back to my nachos and see if I refresh. I didn't start the server. Boom. I said if I refresh, it only sends back the IDs. Interesting. So I can probably get away with, I don't know, 9? Let's just play with it and see what happens. Come on, Rails. Cool. So I can also ask it to do the tasty boolean, tastery. Now I can control the shape in which my object comes back in my JSON. So I can tell it exactly what to do. One important thing to note is, what is this doing exactly, right? Let's take a look at the actual controller. It's taking this JSON and it's running a very particular method. It's running nacho serializer.new and it's taking in this nacho object. That's what this Rails AutoMagic is doing, so that it controls only the attributes that this serializer tells it to do. Now, if you remember, the nacho probably, what, belongs to Flavortown, right? If I had this code, I must duplicate it. Oh, put it on. So just kidding. I must duplicate it in my serializer in order to get the nested hash. What you will see, right, and I don't have time to do this, is you will start to see this coffee dad has many tweets. It starts to nest the object for you. Cool?
Just like our test on Friday.
Exactly. Any questions on serializers and how it changes the shape for your JSON? Doing the fetch request, hitting the Rails backend that you built, and telling it exactly what to send back based on what you want to send back. Chris?
If you put the active record relationship only on the controller, will it still function properly aside from the serializer?
You mean putting it only in the model?
Yeah.
It will run the same methods from active record, but it will not return you the JSON data in the relationship that you want. This is shaping the data, right? The serializer shapes the data. The model is what actually runs the queries.
So you'd have to make up for that in the controller, I guess?
Not really.
You wanted access to it?
No. The controller, remember, is just the go-between.
Well, I'm saying if you wanted access to the, I guess it's just
No. Yeah, the controller is not going to mess with the model stuff, right? Cool. Any other questions? Yeah, welcome to Full Stack. That's all I got for you today.